Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we have a deck submission by Mateus Do Valle, and today we're going to be taking a look at his Kingdra EX deck, which I must admit I'm quite excited to take a look at this deck, purely because it's Kingdra. So of course, as per usual, in the description below there's the usual links, there'll be the deck list which is also available to copy in the description below, as will the upgraded version, and of course there'll be games that we'll play, the outro and what I think of the deck, but of course before we do the outro there will be a section where we talk about the upgraded version that I've made. So of course today we are taking a look at Kingdra EX, which, you know, if you watched my video on, what was it, the Creators Cook-Off, I had to work with this card, and I was only allowed to use Horsea as my starter, but luckily, you know, we can still use other starters in this version, but, you know. And of course the whole idea is we're using King's Order to set up water Pokemon onto our bench. And then, of course, we're using Hydro Pump potentially if we can obviously do that. Because, you know, it'd be nice to use it, but, well, we may not be able to use Kingdra. Now, obviously, as we take a look through the other Pokemon in the list, I think this list is trying to do a bit too much. But that's just me. Now, the Aurorus, I agree with this being in the list. It's, you know, it's a no-brainer. You know, Tundra Wall, obviously we're playing Water Energy anyway. So all of our Pokemon, if we have this Aurorus down, will take 50 less damage from our opponent's Pokemon, which it doesn't stack, but there is only one copy of the Aurorus, which I think is fine. And then obviously we do have the option of the attack, should push come to shove, with during your opponent's next turn, the defender can't use attacks, freeze and chill for 150. But then we start to get into the bit where I think this deck is trying to do too much, and it's not got the facilities for it, if that makes sense. So we have a 2-1-3 Mega Greninja line, which, I don't know how to feel about that one. I'll be brutally honest. Obviously, Mega Greninja can help with damage, and of course it can attack itself. But, I just think this is not the way, if that makes sense. At least, in my opinion, because obviously, if you've watched my Creators Cook-Off, you'll see what I did with Kingdra. But, anyway. We also have Ludicolo, which obviously gives our Pokemon in play an extra 40 HP. I think this is fine. I think this is in the upgraded version. I don't remember. I've not looked at my upgraded version for a bit. I've done a few games with it. But yeah, we all get pretty much 40 HP more. And obviously we can use Hydro Splash if we have to. But, you know, it's not something that we need to facilitate towards. And then we do have another card in here, which is Samurott. Now, Samurott is actually pretty decent. Obviously, we have the ability, which is pretty good. And if we can get this Energized Slash going, it does actually hit quite hard. But as we'll go a bit further as we go to the deck list, I don't know, Chief, I'll be honest. There's also a Relicanth in here, and I must admit I'm quite confused as to why this is in here. The only reason I could think of is for summoning Jutsu, but, you know, that's just my opinion. So, let's go to the deck list, and let's have a proper look. And welcome to the deck list. So, the first thing that I thought of when I was handed this deck list by Mateus in the comments of, it was one of the Build and Battle videos, I thought, okay, I can see where you're going with this, but you've got a lot of, well, not like a lot of jank, but like you've got a lot going on, if that makes sense. So, I'll walk through, you know, my thought process of this deck in its original form. Obviously, we will be playing the original form today. We won't have time to do, well, I mean, we could, but the video would be like an hour and a half long. We do obviously have, you know, the upgraded version, which I'll talk about, which I've personally done. So obviously, the whole idea is we can use Brilliant Blender to, you know, get water Pokemon into the discards. So we can put Greninjas on our bench, Aurorus, Samurott, Ludicolo. We could even start putting Kingdras on the bench if we wanted to, or a Seadra if we wanted to just, you know, thin an extra card out, I guess, if, you know, we don't want to put too many Kingdras down. So I like the idea of the Blender. I don't think I'm playing Blender in the upgraded version, though, because, you know, I just went up to 4 Ultra Balls, and to be honest, playing 4 Ultra Balls just felt fine, you know. And obviously there are other ways to discard the format, and we'll talk about that once we go to the upgraded version later on in this video. But yeah. So obviously we do have 4 Horseas, 1 Seadra, not 2, which I would prefer 2, 3 Kingdras, 2 Froakies, 1 Frogadier, and 3 Mega Greninjas. Then we have 1 Aurorus, 1 Samurott, 1 Fez, 1 Ludicolo, 1 Relicanth, and 1 Meowth. Then we have 4 Lillies, 3 Boss, 1 Surfer, 1 Dawn, 1 Hilda, 1 Judge, 1 Rosa's Encouragement, 1 Salvatore, and 1 Petrel. I'll talk about the supporters in a minute because I don't agree with some of it, but we'll get to that. Then of course we have 4 Candy, only 2 Poffin, only 2 Ultra Ball, only 2 Pokepad, 1 Energy Recycler, 1 Special Red Card, Brilliant Blender as our A-Spec, 4 Surfing Beach, 8 Water Energy, and 1 Bubbly Water Energy. Like I said, and obviously I'll talk about the supporters, because I must admit I do have a bit of beef with the supporters, but we'll get to reasons why. Personally, if you are playing just 1 Bubbly, it's probably not worth playing a Hilda, because, I mean, you can if you want, but I would personally want to play at least 2 Bubblies myself. As for Surfer, you have Quad Surfing Beach. I don't think you need a Surfer in this list. The Salvatore, I'm not really sure why this is in here, unless you want to go Turbo Summoning Jotsu, you know, or, you know, call for backup. But call for backup is pretty much the same anyway, but, you know, that's the only reason I can think of for Salvatore, which, that's very niche, and I don't think that's something we want to do. Now, Petrel is another one. I think this needs to be at least a 2 count if you're going to play Brilliant Blender. Now, obviously, Mateus can easily not use my upgraded deck list, which, you know, he's more than welcome to do so, but, you know, I think the supporter lineup needs a bit of a touch-up, you know. I don't think Greninja is correct in here, purely based on the fact that we have no Night Stretchers, you know, we only have 1 Energy Cycle, which we could prize, you know, and other than Kingdra being manually attached each turn, or, you know, we use Samurott to plink, we're mainly going to be using Greninja as our attacker, and if we don't have, like, Night Stretchers or anything, we're not easily able to recover energy back into our hand to then use the Ninja Spinner plus Mortal Shuriken. So, I don't know, but I'm going to try and obviously get some wins with this deck, hopefully. We'll at least give it a try. But yeah, let's get into some games and see how we do. And welcome to our first game. This is a deck that I must admit I'm not very confident with, but we will gloss over that. I mean, on the plus side, if you rip out, you know, the non-water Pokemon, you can literally use this in the trainer trials with not much effort, to say the least. Do I want to go first? Probably yes, because obviously we are playing Kingdra. We want to go Rare Candy Kingdra. Probably not the best deck to play on the ladder, but, well, Mama didn't raise no quitter, as the old saying goes. So we do start a Horsea. That's pretty good. At least we're not mulliganing, because there's not many basics in this deck. I think there's 8, which, out of 60 cards, that's not money, let's put it that way. But yeah, this is definitely an archetype that, you know, I think, and this might be Mega Lucario, this might be a bad matchup for us. But anyway, we'll attach to the Horsea, I will pass. Not great that we didn't get a Froakie down, but we'll figure it out. I just don't think, like, you know, if you're playing this on, like, casual, it'd be alright, but I think for ranked, this ain't the deck for it, I'm afraid, because, like, I think, you know, because I'll, like, you know, the Mega Greninja, as I already said, I think this is not the correct call. I think there's a better archetype that you could potentially add in. You know, there's Mega Starmie, which would work better with that Salvatore. There's, the Gorbis Huntail combo, you know, like, there's them as well. I don't know, I just don't think this is correct. Alright, well, we might as well double attach the Horsea, and we're going to have to judge. Because we have nothing going on right now. Well, there's a Dawn. That can get us something. We can at least get a Froakie down. I wish I hadn't attached here now, because I could have, you know, well, then again, we had to judge into that, so I'm just going to have to pass. I'm not going to bother Razor Finning, although it's funny, but yeah, I just don't think this archetype is, like, you know, I don't think it's the right way to go with Kingdra. But anyway, there's Lunar Cycle. Like I said, I'll try and get some, you know, I'll try and get a win out of it, but considering they have a Mega Lucario coming down any second now, yeah, this is not looking good. And yet they have the Ultra Ball, so they can get rid of a couple of energy and or a Riolu. They can get the Mega Lucario going. Even if we had attached to the Froakie, and yeah, he's got a Judge. Nice sequence in there from our opponent. Okay, well, we can get Fez, but like we're not really doing, because obviously we don't have any energy acceleration, you know? We don't have a way to recover this energy. And obviously we wasn't to know that we were going to draw into a Froakie, so, you know. There goes 2 of our energy, which, unless we find our recycler, we're not finding them again. Well, there's Candy. That's pretty good. Because we can Meowth for a fresh hand. But if they have Boss, it feels kind of bad. So I think I'll do that. Because it's really my only option right now, is I only have this as my option. Do I even have Meowth? Because I haven't even price checked. Yeah, I do. That's fine. So we'll go Meowth for Last Ditch Catch. I will grab a Lily's Determination. As long as I can get a turn attachment onto the Greninja, I'm not too bothered. Okay, that's good. I'm going to attach to the Greninja. Pass. That's literally all I can do. If they do Gust and Meowth, that feels okay. But it's if they can find Gust on the Greninja plus, like, Max Belt. Well, they need Max Belt plus Power Pro. And I'm not going to be able to kill 2 Lucaros back-to-back. It's just not happening. There's Gravity Mountain. Does he have the Boss plus the Max Belt or 2 Power Pros? Well, there's the Hariyama, so that's that problem solved. So we can use the ability there. Bring up the Greninja. Does he have Double Power Pro? He's not got it yet, which is good. But obviously now our Greninja's going to take a massive hit here. So he's doing... Oh no, he's got it with Secret Box. Oh god. Yeah, this is not going well. Because like I said, yeah, he's got a Power Pro, that's fine. I'm just going to scoop it up. I'm not going to bother with that. You're kind of seeing what I'm on about with this deck. I think there's just too much going on, and we're relying on Greninja. And, you know, Greninja's good and all, but why would we play Kingdra if we've got Greninja? Why would we not just make a Greninja deck? There is a much better way to play Kingdra, in my opinion, which, you know, we'll talk about that once we go to my deck list. But for now, let's go to game 2. And welcome back to game 2. That was, yeah, I don't really need to say anything. You know, I couldn't do anything, you know, like, you know, I don't have an engine, so to speak. I don't have an attacker that can easily be set up. You know, that sort of thing. We'll go first again. It didn't go too bad for us, I guess. All things considered. But yeah, I don't think this is the right way to play Kingdra myself, but that's my opinion anyway. Because like I say, the Surfer can definitely go. We have Quad Surfing Beach. We don't need to worry about that, so, you know. But... yeah. Also, as well, it's like getting energy onto like Samurott and stuff. You know, I get the idea, but like we're manually attaching a lot, which, you know, that's something to consider. Okay, so we do start a Horsea, but we're not starting a whole lot else. And we're going first, remember, so we're gonna have to go Seadra for call for backup and just hope we can do something here. Let's see what we've got. A Beldum. Okay, well that could be anything. The Hilda's nice, but for now, we just have to attach and a pass. So, yeah, can't really do a lot here. If you had that tut, then it was because I was getting messages about something stupid. But, yeah, this deck, I think, is just, you know, I don't want to say it's bad, because, like, it's not. Kingdra's a fun deck, but it's like, I think this is the wrong version of it, if that makes sense. And looks like we're facing Doublade. That's going to be tricky. I mean, you know, we could potentially do something, but it's like, what else are we doing here? Sharp Fin for 40 doesn't even take out this Beldum, and even then, I'm going to probably have to use Call for Backup. Bench Fez, Call for Backup. That's probably what I'm going to have to do. And just hope for the best. If we top deck a Candy, I can go for Hilda for Kingdra, but then I'm only doing 150 damage. So I'm not really doing a lot. Okay, well, there's a Lily's. I'm going to bench the Fez. I'm going to put this down. I'll attach here. Do I Seadra or do I Lily's? I mean, I can Seadra and Lily's, so I think that's safer. So we'll do that instead. Get ourselves a fresh 8 plus call for backup. Oh boy. Not another basic. Looks like we're going to have to go for call for backup. So we'll grab one Froakie, grab double Horsea. That's literally all I can do, because I don't have a whole lot going on. I mean, on the positive side, he is going to need quite a bit to get this going, you know. I mean, he's got the manual attached there, so he needs Metang plus double energy off the singular Metang. Which, you know, he could whiff it, is what I'm hoping at least. But, you know, if I can get something going, then I'll try, but this turn, I'm going to need to get these forces down. Oh, he's got the air balloon. Oh, no. We're losing our Seadra here. That's so bad. Yeah, this is painful. And obviously, you can even attack with Genesect, because, you know, it's a decent attacker. You know, it takes 30 less, so it'd be effectively 250. We need even more work to get it out of the way. Like I say, whiffing on that ball search there is kind of painful. And we'll weaponize swords. He only needs 2. So, I'm pretty certain... Yeah, he's got 5. He's hitting 300 damage. Like, what can I do against this? And obviously, this is only for water types, so Fez isn't affected. I'm glad I benched this Fez, is all I'll say. So I'll attach to the Fez. I'll then bench double Horsea and a Froakie. I'm going to play the Dawn now, just so I can thin a bit more. So we'll go you, and we'll grab the Frog as well. See, the issue here is, like I say, I have to attach the Fez to get it out of the active, because it is a 2-prizer. I don't really want to be giving him anything in terms of that. But then we're a turn behind on attachments elsewhere. So I'm just going to give him a Horsea and pass. That's literally all I can do. Whiffing on the ball search, like, if I had ball search for anything else, he's even got the full metal lab, so Samurott can't even come in. Because, like, Samurott with 2 energy takes out a Doublade. In fact, it still would, even with the full metal lab, but obviously Genesect can attack as well in this list, so he could be effectively 280. So we'd need 6 on a Kingdra to do anything. Yeah, this I'm pretty certain this is curtains for us. And yeah, he's got a boss for Fez. Like, what can I do? Like, I can Petrel for red card and just hope he doesn't have anything. But, you know, what else am I doing here? Like, genuinely, what am I doing? Because I can't do anything. The only way in which this might work out for us is if we can find another Rare Candy. And we can go double Greninja, double Water Energy discard, but yeah, I'm pretty certain this is curtains for us. If we can get that turn off, you know, he's got 7 in hand, like, that's 400. I don't know why he's revealing that many, but, you know. But yeah, I think my best course of action here is to promote a Froakie. Well, there's Ludicolo. There's not really much I can do with that. So, I'm an energy short if I Petrel this turn. I'm just trying to... I could go Kingdra, actually. But I'm not really doing anything with Kingdra is my issue here. I can Petrel for an Ultra Ball. If, you know, if we can. I mean, there's Blender. I don't know what's in the deck, though. I could Petrel... I could Blender, actually, and get Aurorus, Greninja, and Kingdra down. That could be an option, but, you know, the issue is he has 7 in hand, so he's just going to nuke the Kingdra. Oh boy, this is horrible. Well, it's my only option. I don't really have anything else going for me right now. I mean, we can Meowth later for Rosa's encouragement and maybe do something. In fact, we could have Rosa this turn, actually. I've only just realised that now. Yeah, this is not good. I think we just discard those 3. So that's fine. I think we just go... Do we go Frog? Or do we go Kingdra? And just hope we can win the game with just 1? I think I just go attach to Froakie. And I think I pass. I think it's correct to pass here. As much as I'd love to do King's Order, there is no point in doing so because he has 7 in hand. He's just going to nuke the Kingdra. Then we're back to square 1 because we don't have any energy acceleration. I think that's all I can do here. If he doesn't, I was going to say, if he doesn't get down another Doublade, we could be okay here. Maybe. But we would need to find... well, we need to get Rosa for a start, but also I would want to be spreading damage on his attackers. So, I don't know. We need an energy this turn, is what I'm trying to say. He can take out the Froakie for all I care, but we just need one energy, and we could do something. And he's got the boss, for God's sake. We need Rosas now. We can't do anything else. We have to Rosa. Jesus, this is rough. And yeah, he's just revealing all of them again. This is so bad. I need to Meowth for Rosa and just hope he doesn't have another way to win. That's literally all I can do. Alright. Well, there's our Lillies, but we're not using that this turn. We're going Rare Candy into Greninja. We then have to Meowth for Rosa's Encouragement. Because it's literally my only line right now, is Rosa. This feels so bad, because I'm not hand disrupting them. And then we will go Ninja Spinner. We actually have to take the energy off it, because normally we wouldn't. But because of Full Metal Lab, I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. You know, I could have bumped the stadium, but I'm not worried about his stadium, I'll be brutally honest. We can bump it later. I'm not really worried about that. But obviously now he can come in with a Genesect. I've just got to hope now, if we can chase down his Pokemon, we should be okay. If we can chase down anything that he has, we might be okay. But of course, the issue now we have is we don't have a way to get that Froakie back, so we can't double Greninja to take out a Honedge. I have to boss the Honedge, which that feels kind of bad. Transceiver, please do not tell me you're playing Unfair Stump as your A spec. I will cry. I will legit cry. Because this just feels so rough. Petrel. Like I say, if I see a Stamp, I'm not going to be a happy bunny, let's put it that way. I really hope he's not playing Stamp, because that would suck. Let's see, maybe he's prized it. I don't. In fact, no. Did he play Secret Box? I don't remember. No, that was the last game. Hopefully, his A spec is prized, depending on what it is. But no, the Metang approach is actually not too bad for Doublade. I do kind of like it. I don't think I've done a video. I did Joltik for my version. But yeah, I think he's prized it. Yeah, he's got an Ultra Ball, so he's definitely prized something. Maybe he's trying to get multiple Honedges down. That's probably his plan. So, this turn, we need to attach this energy. We can't risk anything. But ideally, I want to take out this Honedge. He's even got Counter Gain in the list. Yeah, he's getting down another Honedge. I mean, another option is I could chase the Metang. But then he just comes in with Genesect. And he's also one attachment away from winning. So yeah, there's double Metang. Oh boy, this is why I'd want another Greninja in play. Oh, this is horrible. I'm trying here, but yeah, I think this is curtains for us, because he's going to set up double Honedge to be ready to attack, and then, you know, it's going to go from there. But hopefully, we might be able to find red card. That's probably our saving grace, is red card. Like, yeah, Genesect can just find him 2 more, but, you know. This just feels so bad. Like, I can't do anything here. I can't take out one of these Honnet. Well, I can take out 1, but I can't take out 2. Right, so, I need to thin with Pokepad first, because I don't really have anything going for me right now. I'll take the Relicanth. I don't think I can really use this. No, not really. Well, I have to attach. I have to bump the stadium. Do I go for a Lillies and just hope? I mean, I can boss one of these, but then he just comes up with a second one and just kills me. I'm just going to swoop here. I can't win. I'm so far behind, and I don't have the ability to take out both Honedges in the same turn. I just don't have anything going on, you know. I'm just struggling to get anything done, you know. I can't really do anything. That sucks, though. You know, that's just the way this deck has been running for me in testing, so it's unfortunate. Let's go to Game 3. And welcome back to Game 3. As you can kind of tell, this deck has been on quite the loss streak, for me at least, you know. Like, even if I'd have done that King's Order, I don't think it would have made a difference, because, you know, I didn't have the facilities to get back any energy. So, you know, I just think I'm struggling too much with this deck, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but these things happen. So we do start a Horsea at least. I could Pokepad for a Frog at the very least, but I'm not getting a turn attachment down unless I top deck an energy, which with 9 energy, not the fattest chance of happening. I mean, some might say, oh, go second and then use Hold Still. Sure, I could, but nah. Going first is better because then we can go Rare Candy Kingdra. We have Quad Candy, we might as well make use of it. But yeah, the version that I've cooked up plays Mega Starmie instead of Mega Greninja. I just think with Greninja, you're trying to put too much in when you've not got much recovery. And I think that's where this deck is trying. Okay, we've got a turn attachment, I'll take it. Grab ourselves a Froakie. Okay, so we've got those in there. We've got one Kingdra in the prize cards, that's fine. We've got all the Greninjas in there at the very least. We've got Salvatore as well, but I'm not going to be using that. Otherwise, doesn't look too bad. So I'll go bench Froakie, attach Froakie, pass. I know we're not really using Kingdra, we're using it more as a Mega Greninja deck, but you know, given the options I have in this deck, I don't really have many good attacking options, especially ones that are cheap. You know, Greninja's my cheapest attacker, and it's the most consistent attacker in this deck. I mean, if we can go, you know, if we top deck Candy, I'll go Red Candy Kingdra, and then Lilies and hopefully draw into something. But at the minute, no, I'm leaning into Greninja for a very good reason. And looks like we're facing Yanmega. That could be tricky. They've got the Latias for the King, or the Kangaskhan. They're going to run over for 2. I wonder whose deck list this is, because I have been seeing Kang popping up in Yanmega lists. I don't know who's been playing Kangs and stuff. There's a last-ditch catch. We'll see what they grab. Probably a Lilies, just, you know, for extra draw and stuff. I mean, I'll be surprised if they grab, like, a hand disruption, but it could happen, you know. We could have that. But yeah, like I said, I think, you know, with Kingdra, you want to have an archetype, like, you want to have Pokemon that can help support the deck. And I think with no, you know, like, Night Stretchers, no way to really get energy, you know, into your hand as much, apart from, like, Hilda, I just think playing a Greninja line is not the best idea. But anyway, looks like they're taking a bit of time. Maybe they don't play many Lilies, which I doubt it. Or maybe they're just prize checking. I would assume prize checking. That's a bit of a missequence, unless they drew into the Meowth off of the Kang, would be my, you know, my thought process at the very least. But still, we'll try and make work with it. There's Dust Ball. I love the fact that this card's seeing more play. It's a funny card. I do like it. But yeah, my only real, like, option here is if we top deck Rare Candy, we'll go into Kingdra, we'll put the Surfing Beach down. Maybe we can get somewhere, but I don't know. Ooh, Boxed Order. I haven't seen this card in a while. You search your deck for up to 2 item cards and then it passes your turn immediately afterwards. Sure. Well, I'd love to have that with a Candy, but no, we have to Lilies, unfortunately. Okay, well that's actually pretty good. We can go for the blender. So we'll get down Aurorus, we'll go Greninja. What else do we want? We'll get Ludicolo. And I think that's what we'll do. I think that's fine. So we'll get rid of those 3. So then we'll Ultra Ball away the Frogadier and the Petrel. In fact, no, I have the energy on the Greninja, I've just realised. So this play doesn't work out as well as I thought. We haven't supported for turn, have we? No. In fact, no, we played Lilies, didn't we? Yeah, we played Lilies, so... Do I just grab another Horsea? I think so. Pass. That's an unfortunate. If I'd have known I would have had the nuts off of that Lilies, I would have had an energy on this Horsea, not the Froakie. That would have been nice though, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to do that. But no, like I say, I can use Aurorus and Ludicolo to hopefully bulk my way through this matchup. There's another Yanma. They've not gotten any energy down, which is fine, but obviously Yanmega powers itself up, plus he just needs a manually attach. So, you know. We can actually take out a Yanmega, but it's going to be pretty tricky to get, you know, something going here. Might just be a case of we lead into Greninja again, but I would like to use Kingdra's ability to obviously help with the bulk side of things, but, you know, I wasn't going to draw into a water energy, so that's why I attached to the Froakie. But hopefully, maybe, we might get to do that. But now they're going to Siphon Maniac and then Kang for it, so they have a pretty consistent engine here. Might be worth a look at this sort of like, you know, like Kang, Latias, Yanmega. Obviously, we have covered Yanmega with Chinchino, which was a fun deck. But obviously, like, straight Yanmega with, like, Nighttime Mine and stuff, I've not covered, so I might look into that. But, yeah, there's a Grass Attach. He can free retreat into the Yanmega. And there it is. Buzzing Boost. Prize all your grass. Probably not going to happen. And yep, there we go. And then, yeah, he can Jet Cyclone, take out our Horsea, and we are kind of in a bad spot. But, I mean, if we can get the Kingdra off, we might be okay. Okay, he's going to load up the Kang, that's fine. I'm going to promote the Froakie, because worst comes to worst, I'll Rare Candy into a Greninja. Okay, well that's doing nothing for me, Chief. So let's Lilies. Okay, we don't have the knockout, though. That's the only problem here. That's fine. We can hit it for 220. But then we're not really doing much afterward. Or 200, sorry. But then we're not really doing much. So I don't know. But we'll hit it anyway, because, you know, we can... If we can get double Greninja off, we can actually take this out without having to take prize cards, and then we can go for the Meowth for the Ninja Spinner KO. So we could actually do something here if we get, you know, the nuts or anything. He's going to go into his Kang. Makes sense. We can run errand and then, you know, we can go from there. We've just got to hope he don't hit triple heads, which I hope he doesn't, is all I'll say. But you can kind of see, like, the Greninja is just very awkward in this deck, which... I don't know. I don't mind Greninja as an archetype, but I think when you try to shove it in a King deck, it doesn't really make much sense. But we'll talk about that once we go to my decklist version. Because in testing, my decklist version is a bit more, you know, like, it's a bit more bare bones, like there isn't Greninja in it. But it has Starmie, it's cheaper to attack with, and it has the Huntail Gorbis, which I personally like myself. But obviously, he is going to attack with Kang this turn. I've just got to hope he don't hit triple heads, because if he does, that sucks. And we probably don't win if he hits triple heads, but anyway. To be fair, we're not probably winning if he hits no heads, but anyway. There's Cyrano. So he's probably going to be like Fez, maybe, or like second Kang. Yeah, second Kang plus Fez. He's expecting me to take a KO here. I will try, my friend. Trust me, I will try. But, yeah. One heads. Okay, one heads. That's fine. I'm glad it wasn't 3. Okay, let's see what we can do. There's a candy. I would like to have something a little bit more, but still. I've got to think what to do here. I mean, I can hit the Greninja or the Kangaskhan for 200. I could also just Mortal Shuriken it. So I think I'll do that. I'll Mortal Shuriken the Kang. Then I'll Lilies, because there's a good chance we hit an energy here. Are you serious? We don't hit an energy? Oh my god. Wow. We don't hit an energy off of that. Are you are you having me on? That is ridiculous. If I'd have known that, I'd have gone for the Meowth. Yeah, I can't do anything here. Whiffing that energy is just so annoying, but that's just the way this deck has been for me, unfortunately. Alright, now that the games are concluded, we will go to my decklist version and see what I've cooked up. See you in a moment. And welcome to my upgraded version of Mateus Do Valle's deck. Now, I will say before I start, there are a couple of things that I have left out because, you know, when it comes to these upgrade decks, I don't want to build them the way that I would have it, if that makes sense. Because I want, you know, the original deck builder to see that I haven't just trashed their entire list away, built my own version, and not kept anything from the original list that they gave me. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've done here. So, you know, we still have the Aurorus, we still have the Ludicolo, we still have the, you know, the thick Kingdra line and stuff, we still have the, you know, the Petrels, the Surfing Beaches. But the main thing that I've tried to focus on is what this archetype kind of struggled with. As we've seen in the games, you know, we did struggle quite a bit. You know, we didn't have anywhere near as much ball search. You know, we only had one Dawn. We had 2 Ultra Balls. You know, that sort of thing. You know, we just couldn't really get anything going. And, you know, we're relying a lot on, you know, attackers that, you know, we can't really make use of because we have to use Kingdra for them. And, you know, the Samurott is cool and all, but we're not really playing a way to get the Samurott going in terms of an attacker, which is kind of why I've gone the Mega Starmie route. I've just realised I've clicked on my mouse, so I do apologise. But yeah, it's because there's a mouse button on the right side, on the left-hand side of my mouse, and I caught it by mistake with my thumb. But yeah, this is the sort of thing that I've tried to go with. Obviously, we have a 2/2 Mega Starmie line now, which, of course, Jetting Blow is just good for early pressure, which this deck literally did not have, unless you got Rare Candy, if you got a turn attachment, Rare Candy, Greninja, another energy, plus, you know, another energy on top of that to do, you know, Greninja's discard attack, or ability, I should say. So what I've tried to do here is I've tried to give, you know, more reasoning to both go into Kingdra, but also have an attacker that can do some pressure whilst you set up your Kingdra. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So, of course, we have the Gorbis and the Huntail. I'll talk about these in a moment, because I have featured these in a past video of mine in the Creators Cook-Off. So Huntail is not too relevant until we talk about the Gorbis, but when one of your water Pokemon is knocked out by damage or attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you may put all basic water energy attached to that Pokemon into your hand instead of the discard pile, which is where it pairs with the Gorbis, which you could play Clamperls, because obviously that is the pre-evolution of both of these. So you could consider playing maybe 2 Clamperls for maybe extra Poffin targets, but I didn't add those in because I didn't think you needed them, but that is potentially an option for you. So the Gorbis and, of course, the Huntail, they do obviously work together. So Crescendo Wave does 30 damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon, but before you do any damage, you may attach any number of basic water energy cards from your hand to this Pokemon. We're playing 11 water. If you can, I doubt it, but, you know, needs must and all that. If you can get 11 water energy onto this Gorbis, it is knocking out a Dragapult, which, fair enough, that's probably never going to happen. But the fact that, you know, you can use Crescendo Wave, then Huntail brings that energy back, and you can keep using Gorbises, plus you can use Kingdra to keep getting them back with King's Order, I think this is just a better consistent version. Obviously, in the Creators Cook-Off that I did, I wasn't allowed Starry use. I was allowed Mega Starmie, but I didn't bother with it. So in this case, I put in 2 Starriers, which are Poffin searchable, and of course are Pokepad searchable. So I think I've done a pretty okay job here. Obviously, there are a few things that I would like to bring up with this deck list. Number 1, I'm not playing an Energy Recycler. You don't have to in this list, I don't think, but you could. And number 2, I actually don't think Blender's the right A-Spec for this deck. The A-Spec I think is correct is Scramble Switch. Now the reason why I say that is if you use Gorbis and you have 6 energy, you can Scramble Switch into a Kingdra, and Kingdra would be doing 350 damage. You know, stage 2, 310, it's decently bulky, so you could use Kingdra as an attacker. But, you know, that's just something to think about. Obviously, I've kept the Ludicolo and the Aurorus. I think these are solid additions into the deck, and should stay so. But other than that, I haven't really done too much with the list. Obviously, I've added, you know, night stretches because we needed these. But other than that, really, I've not really, like, gone into too much detail with, like, you know, the deck list and everything, because I think this is something that Mateus could experiment with, and, you know, maybe he could get back to me with an improved version. So obviously, again, I'm not going to build this deck my way, because you may not like my way, if that makes sense. But still, let's go to the deck list. Well, let's go to the outro section so I can talk about Mateus' original deck. See you in a moment. And welcome to the outro section. Unfortunately, this is where I'm just going to have to be a bit honest with the original list that I've been given. I don't like it, and I don't think it's, you know, very consistent. You know, we was even playing on casual. We wasn't actually playing on ranked. I thought we was playing on ranked for some reason, but we wasn't. We was playing on casual. And, you know, if your deck's getting bodied on casual by non-meta decks, yeah, that's where the drawing board needs to go back to, as far as I'm concerned. I hope that, you know, my upgraded version, even though I've deliberately skipped a couple of things just for, you know, Mateus to experiment with. But I just don't think this original version with the Greninja, with no, you know, energy recovery of any degree other than energy recycler, you know, I just think this deck was trying to do too much. And, you know, with no early pressure of an attacker, the reliance on manual attachments most of the time to get, you know, 2 to 3 energy attacks necessary, I just don't think it's the right way. And, you know, we didn't really stand a much of a chance in any of the games that we played today. And, you know, it's one of those things, you know, this is the first video where I've actually done, you know, a deck on casual. So, you know, it's one of those things, unfortunately, but, you know, it's something that, you know, I hope Mateus can learn with my deck list that I've done. Hopefully it might serve him a little bit better than what this one may have done for him, at least. But I think adding in Mega Greninja, I know it's the star of the show, you know, like, we have this set and everything, but obviously, you know, it's like trying to chuck Darkrai in a Dragapult deck. I mean, in theory, you could do it, but you'd be just adding so much more annoyance to the port engine, if that makes sense. But, you know, in conclusion, though, I think that, you know, this deck would, if, you know, it had a bit more, you know, if we could play more than 60 cards, this is one of those 70-card decks, as I call them. Like, there's so many options to play in this deck, you know, with the Greninja especially. You know, I think this deck would be better if you could play 70 cards. But because it can't, it kind of defeats purpose. But anyway, I think, though, that, you know, with the Mega Starmie package, and obviously, you know, we still have the Huntail of Orbis, and obviously you could add in the Clan Pearls to further, you know, boost your basic count. But also, you know, you can still use Kingdra if you have to. So, you know, maybe it could be something that you look into in the future, Mateus. And hopefully, you know, if you did like the deck list that I've built for you, I hope, you know, you can take the deck list that I've done for you, and, you know, you might even turn it into a much better deck than I did. But anywho, I'm going to leave it to it for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing this deck and also, you know, the deck list that I've made for Mateus. If you do have any decks to submit to me, of course, feel free to drop them in the comments below. But anywho, I'm going to leave it to it for today, and I'll see you next time.